Just wanna make you feel good.
Hey everybody, Brandon Shiga here for the final week of Mobile Development Frameworks 3. Gonna go over the questions here really quick, and then I'll show you guys kind of what my app does and maybe show some code, time permitting. So, for my hybrid project, I have a web view which has a field for you to enter your zip code, a button to get your current location, and then a button to search for movie theaters. It's called Moviegoer, and basically it just uses the Google Maps Places API to find theaters within a certain radius. I was originally going to do the Fandango API because you can search by theater and movie, but I applied for my API keys on Monday and they still haven't approved it, so I had to switch to a different API. What would I have done differently? I think the only thing probably is just made the list view I have a little bit more pretty. I use the same background color throughout, but the text is just kind of plain. A few things I could use more clarification. Not much. I actually got this assignment pretty well in the information with it. My current job is I do web dev for a company. We also do mobile dev using Cordova and PhoneGap. So I kind of already knew what we were getting into with the whole like using a web interface and then getting the data into the phone. And do I think hybrid applications have a place in mobile development, and why? Yes and no. Yes, because if you kind of want one application that you can spread across any device, it's a good way to go. But without something like PhoneGap, you lose a lot of the phone's like native functions. I personally think it's better to develop natively. I think apps look a lot cleaner, and you don't run into so many issues, especially like in testing. Because like right now for like my job, we're making an app for the iPhone, but it's a web-based app built in PhoneGap, and like some things in the browser look totally different on the phone, and vice versa. And it's really hard to debug things on the phone because you can't. You don't get JavaScript errors, and you don't get like CSS things, so it's definitely much more difficult to debug. But I mean, there's definitely a place for them. If you want to get something out quickly that is multi-platform, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Alright, and without further ado, I'll show you guys my app here really quick. So the name of my app, like I think I said earlier, is called Moviegoer. So you can kind of see my icon. There's a little popcorn bowl, if you will. I use Jquery Mobile for the main UI components because I think it has a really clean interface. Plus, it keeps kind of everything looking the same without having to do too much styling. So what I have here is kind of like an instruction. Type in your zip code or tap on get location and then tap on search theaters to find nearby theaters. So there's two ways you can do it. You can either manually type in your zip code and then hit search, and then it brings up a list view with the names of all the theaters that are around. The option is if you don't, like say you're out of the area or you don't know what your zip code is, you can hit the get location, and it uses the Android's GPS and network sensor to get your location, and then you can click on search theaters. So that's basically it. I'll kind of go through my code here really quick to show like how the GPS thing. So let me see here. Where's my coda? Okay. So here are my two buttons. I have a location lookup and a theater search, and then in my JavaScript here, when you click on location lookup, it runs this function using the JavaScript interface called get location. So if we shoot to that really quick, here's my get location. It does run on a separate thread because to put data back into the phone, it has to be on another thread. So here's my location manager provider, and then I get the location using the get last known location, get the lat and long, and then I use the geocoder to get the address, or well, the closest address to that latitude and longitude, and then from the address I get the zip code, and then I use this WebView load URL, which is a JavaScript function. A JavaScript function called set location, and I pass in the zip code. And then if we go back to my code here, here's that function. So it basically just says set location, pass in the zip code, and I set the value of the theater search text box to that value. And then for my search, I basically do a reverse of what I did here, which might not be entirely necessary, but that's how it works. So I use the geolocator to get the lat and long from the zip code. Then here's my whole API string. It's pretty long, so I've it broken up into different parts. And then I use an async task to get the JSON response. And then I have another activity that I pass that response into. And then I parse it. Basically, I just get the name from each individual JSON object, and then I set them to a array list, put the array list in an adapter, and then set the adapter to the list view. So yeah, that's my application. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next class. Thanks a lot.